let's bring you more now on that special summit that's taking place in Mali. In fact, West African leaders are meeting there alongside French President Francois Hollande for what is known as the 27th Africa-France Summit. About 30 African heads of state are expected to attend the summit, which will focus mainly on security and development to reduce migration flows into Europe. Now, on his arrival, President Hollande visited French troops in Mali's northern city of Gao. There he said those battling jihad in Africa and the Middle East were, like France, part of the same fight against extremism. Now, at the request of the Malian government, France sent its troops to Gao about 4 years ago to flush out Islamists who had taken large swaths of the region. Now, Hollande says the operation, dubbed Operation Barkhane, has been a success, with around 1,600 French troops still stationed in Gao.
For me, Gao was a very important point on the map, but it was also men and women who were subjected to the worst offenses by the terrorist groups. It was a city that had to be liberated. I find you again here in Gao, and there is still more to do. But there is an administration in place, and life has returned. I therefore salute the success of this intervention and our soldiers' courage.
Well, let's get you more insights on the France-Africa Summit from CGTN's Kate Parkinson, who joins us live now from Paris. Of course, Kate, this summit in the past has really set the tone for relations between France and Francophone Africa. What does President Hollande hope to achieve this time around?
Well, first of all, let's start by saying that the location of this 27th African-France Summit is not insignificant. Mali is very much where the French President Francois Hollande really revealed himself to be an international statesman. As you just mentioned, back in 2013, France launched this military intervention, sending troops to the north of the country where jihadists, allied with Tuareg rebels, had taken over huge swathes of the country. And many credit Hollande for really bringing Mali back from the brink. So this is a very significant trip for Hollande. It's really an opportunity for him to showcase his legacy, because the French president does already have one foot out of the door. France will elect a new president this spring. The French president, Hollande, is not seeking a second term. Now, he is deeply unpopular on the home front, but his foreign policy, his hawkish approach, his military interventions, not only in Mali, but also in the Central African Republic and in the Middle East, have really garnered public support. So certainly a very significant trip for the French president and an opportunity for him to say, look what I have helped to do. Having said that, insecurity does still persist in Mali, and as we've seen in recent years, the jihadist threat has spread to Europe. France itself has been repeatedly struck by terror attacks. So the focus of these talks and what France will want to achieve from them is very much how Africa continues to confront its ongoing battle with jihadists and what France can continue to do to help it in that very important fight.
And indeed, as you say, Kate, of course, Hollande looking to secure his legacy in Francophone Africa. One of the big issues, of course, that people are focusing on is the political impasse in the Gambia. West African regional leaders, of course, are at the summit, as is President-elect Adama Barrow. Is it likely that Hollande, or France really, will be drawn into discussions on this matter?
We've had no comment from French officials as to whether France will be directly involved in these talks. Certainly no word from officials here in Paris, but it is extremely likely that France will be keeping a very close eye on these discussions that have now moved to Mali on the future of Gambia. And certainly the French President Francois Hollande has repeatedly said that the sitting president, Yahya Jammeh, must step down and allow Adama Barrow to take office. As we know, as we've heard in reports a few moments ago, the time is running out and the pressure is really increasing on West African leaders to sort this out. There is fears that the prolonged uncertainty could trigger a refugee exodus with more and more people fleeing Gambia. And this, of course, is something that France will also be keeping a very close eye on. France, of course, very aware that the record numbers of refugees and migrants trying to reach Europe from the shores of North Africa is putting a great amount of pressure on European nations. And as I said, record numbers already reached next year. Europe trying to make sure that doesn't happen in 2017. So France, of course, a lot of interest in this subject and will be keeping a very close eye on these important talks that have now moved to Mali.
Indeed. Thanks so much for that. Kate Parkinson live for us there in Paris.